Hello, everyone. Good morning and welcome. I'm Gaurav Garg. I'm a technical account manager at AWS. I would like to welcome you to this episode of Amazon Supports You. So, with that, welcome to the episode where support experts provide tips to optimize performance in the cloud, lower costs, improve your security posture, and provide you with best practice and design considerations. Joining me today is Kirti and Aparna from AWS Support. Can you give us a quick introduction, Kirti, followed by Aparna?
Thanks, Gaurav. So I am Kirti Dhabai. I work as Technical Account Manager here at AWS. I am based out of Delhi, so I help my customer to resolve their technical issues to maintain their operational excellence. So I have keen interest in security areas. Over to you, Aparna.
Thank you, Kirti. Hello, everyone. My name is Aparna Bansal. I'm a solutions architect here at AWS based out of Bangalore, India. I've been with AWS for 3+ years now, and my area of interest is security. As a solutions architect, I help my customers in their cloud adoption journey for implementation of well architect and scalable solutions. I'm really happy to be here to talk to you about one of the important security service that AWS offers.
Thank you for that introduction. Today, we'll be introducing you to AWS Security Hub. We'll be specifically focusing on working with security standards and controls to improve security posture of your AWS setups. Before we get into the details, a quick note to the attendees online. Please feel free to use the chat window on the right hand side of your screen. You may also choose to let us know where you're joining us from today. Feel free to share your thoughts and questions throughout this episode. We look forward to hearing from you. We'll also provide a link to our survey, so if you'd like to let us know how we did, please click the link and leave your feedback. With that, I would like to hand it over to Kirti. Kirti, can you walk us through what we are going to be talking about today?
Sure, Gaurav. So today we'll get to know about what is Security Hub. Then we will explain you what are the security standards. Like there are three standards. We'll cover the foundational security best practice standards in detail. Then we will go through the managing AWS account. Like if customer have multiple AWS account, then how to enable the Security Hub and how to aggregate those findings across the multiple region, and followed by the demo in the end. So let's get started. So what is Security Hub? So Security Hub, we define it as an AWS Security Posture Management Service. So AWS Security Hub assess your AWS environment against security industry standards and best practices across all region and accounts, and provides you with comprehensive view of your security state. It collects the security data from across integrated services, like you can see on the diagram. It's mentioned Amazon Guard Duty, it's mentioned Security Manager, Security Access Analyzer, AWS Health, Amazon Macy, and other services. So Security Hub process finding data using a standardized finding format known as ASF, which eliminates the need to manage findings data from multiple formats and eliminates the time consuming data conversion efforts. So this is how it reduced to collect it reduced the effort to collect and prioritize the security findings across multiple accounts. Additionally, you can continuously monitor your environment using automated security checks based on standards such as AWS Foundational Security Practice. So basically, this is a set of curated controls defined by in-house AWS security experts. Along with, there is a one standard known as CIS, Center of Internet Security Foundation Benchmark, and other one is Payment Card Industry Data Security Standards, which is commonly known as PCI DSS. So we can say Security Hub is a AWS CSPM Cloud Security Posture Management solution. It can remediate the findings, or you can send them to ticketing systems, because it has integration with Event Bridge and also other solutions like Jira and Turbo Bot. We will explain that in the partner integration. So you can easily say, like, Security Hub access your environments against all the security standards, and then give the comprehensive view of your security state in AWS. Along, it like collects the data from these services, and then you can take the action, and you can investigate the findings or take the response and remediation action as per your requirement. So let's go about the solution. Like now you understand, like AWS security hubs give you comprehensive view of security of your account, including the compliance check against the best practices. So when you integrate, when you enable this with guard duty, Amazon Macy, Amazon Inspector, and Amazon Detective, how it can work as threat detection solution. Like before we go forward, let me give you refresher. Let me briefly tell you about what these services exactly do. So like Amazon Guard Duty is continuous security monitoring service, like that analyze and process your data sources. For example, like CloudTrail data events for Amazon S3, CloudTrail management event logs, DNS logs, Amazon EBS volume data logs, Amazon eCase audit log, and Amazon VPC flow logs. So like it uses threat intelligence feeds such as list of malicious IP addresses and domains which you can define, and then it uses machine learning to identify unexpected, potential, unauthorized, and any kind of malicious activity within your AWS environment. Amazon Macy is a fully managed data security and data privacy service. Like it uses machine learning and pattern matching to help you discover and monitor the and like protect the sensitive data such as like PII or any kind of financial data like that customer can store in S3 in your environment. Like even now we can enable the data classification of Amazon RDS database within the Macy, and Macy can like cover that particular finding also. So Amazon Inspector is a vulnerability management service like that automatically scans your all AWS workloads, including like EC2 instances and container images residing in Elastic Container Registry for unintended network or software issue. And like detective, yeah, by detective, like you can analyze and quickly identify the root cause of security finding or suspicious activities. So through these findings of these services, security hub use them, it aggregates them into one place, and then you can like automate any kind of remediation using the security hub, and then you can take the required action and you can improve the security posture of your environment. So as I was talking about the partner integration on the screen, you can see like these partners can forward their findings to AWS Security Hub like Cloud Custodian, Rapid7, Tenable.io, Checkpoint. These are the like famous security solutions available in marketplace. So like if you have any kind of existing security solution, you can integrate that with Security Hub and use those findings, and you can analyze those findings using Security Hub, and you can take the automatic remediation action. Even as you know, like Security Hub has been integrated with these services, and without any additional configuration you can find those findings in the Security Hub. Then you can use CloudWatch events to take the action, and even for taking action like this has already been integrated with external solution like Splunk, like IBM Security, ServiceNow, Atlassian, Zira, PagerDuty, and other uh, integrations you can have, and you can analyze your, you can take the action through these partner solutions also. So moving forward, we can check like I will go through the overall benefits, like we will summarize what we have learned. So like Security Hub is a fully managed AWS service offering that is enabled within a region in a minutes with a few clicks, and like it aggregates the finding across the customer accounts, and you can aggregate the multiple region also, and you can manage your account if you have like multiple account and you can want to see a security a finding in a one place, you can do that also. We'll explain how to do that in upcoming slides and the demo. And also like I just need to point out, like when you even some in addition to default insight that are provided by AWS and AWS partner, you can also create your own insight to track issues that are unique to their environment. And you can have a consolidated view of finding across account at one place. Like this benefit provides you with certain level of customization that come in handy when dealing with like company security requirements and regulation. Like every customer have a different security requirement. So the security hub provides you ability to automate and remediate that finding. So let's go over the technologies and the key concept. Like these key concept, we will be taking these names again and again in our session and in the demo. So like first one is the aggregated region. Like with cross region aggregation, you can aggregate the findings, finding updates, insight, control, compliance status, security score from multiple linked region to a single aggregation region. The aggregation region is the region where you can view and manage these findings. Next is ASFF. So AWS Security Finding Format, as mentioned earlier, is standardized finding format derived from JSON schema. Like you will have few exam samples. You can compare your security of findings within the resources. An example show here. There is a link pasted in chat. You can check that particular link and it will help you to interpret your findings and you can compare with the standard ones. And what is finding? It's nothing but a security related detection, or you can say a record of security check. What is insight? Insight is a collection of related findings defined by filters. We can have both like AWS managed security of insights, as well as you can create your own insights using group by filters. Like we will show you the same in demo. So before going forward, like I want to ask Gaurav if there are any questions in the chat.
Yeah, thanks, Kirti. There are no questions as of now in the chat. I would like to again let our audience members know they can use the chat option on the right to ask any questions and queries that they have for the presenters. However, I would like to ask one point from my side. Kirti, if I have a score of 100% on a particular security standard, does that mean
Okay.
that I will pass an audit for that security standard?
I would say no, because like AWS Security Hub can help you prepare for an audit, but they do not imply that you would pass an audit associated with security standard. The reason is like most security standard have various control that cannot be checked in an automated fashion, and those are like out of scope for AWS Security Hub. So if you will only consider the score of Security Hub, it's not necessary like you will pass the security audit. So this is the thing you need to take care of.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. Thanks, Kirti.
Thank you, Gaurav. So let's go over the next concept, that is security check, security control, and security standard. Like these are the most confusing terminologies. Like so, security check is, you can say, point in time evaluation of a rule against single resource. Control is a security check against those specific resources, and a security standard is a collection of control based on regulatory frameworks or industry best practices. Like security have conducts automated security checks against each control. So each security check consists of an evaluation of a rule against a single resource. Like for example, like security hub supports a CIS AWS foundational benchmark standard, right? So which consists of 43 controls over 14 AWS services. So once AWS security hub is enabled, it immediately begins running those continuous automated security checks against each control and each relevant resource associated with that control. So one thing you need to notice here is you are only charged once for each time a control is evaluated against a resource, like regardless of how many standards the control is linked to. Like sometime it can happen the same control is linked to CIS1, to PCI DSS1, or to the foundational best practices one, but you are only charged once when that particular control is evaluated against a resource. Okay. So next thing is like when you enable a security hub, the the security hub begins to run all checks within 2 hours. Like most checks begins to run within 25 minutes, so until a control completes its first run of checks. So after initial check, like the schedule of each control can be either periodic or change triggered. Like periodic run automatically within 24 hours after the most run, like you cannot change the periodicity. And change triggered runs when the associated resource change state. Even if resource does not change states, the update will change in like after 24 hours. So moving forward on the security standards, like I'll hand over to Aparna. She'll go through the security standards.
Thank you, Kirti. Thank you for a brief introduction about the AWS Security Hub service. Now, coming to the security standards that the AWS Security Hub service follows, there are three main security standards. These are the AWS Foundational Security Best Practices Standard. It is a set of automated security checks that detect when AWS accounts and deployed resources do not align with the security best practices. The standard is defined by AWS security expert. This curated set of control helps improve your security posture in AWS and covers AWS's most popular and foundational services. The second one is the Center of Internet Security CIS AWS Foundational Benchmark version 1.2.0. It is a set of security configuration best practices for AWS. This Security Hub standard automatically checks for your compliance readiness against a subset of CIS requirements. The third one is the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard PCI DSS version 3.2.1. It is an information security standard for objects that store, process, and transmit cardholder data. This Security Hub standard automatically checks for your compliance readiness against a subset of PCI DSS requirements. Today, our main focus will be on AWS foundational security best practices, standards, and control. Before moving ahead, Gaurav, are there any questions in the chat?
Hey, Aparna. Yeah, there is actually one question from a user asking as to how many recognized standards are there in all, and does AWS allow you to select which ones to implement?
Exactly. So I have just discussed about the three standards that are available. And while starting with the Security Hub, you can easily enable or disable which security standard you want to follow for your environment.
All right. Thanks, Aparna.
So now moving ahead with the most important one or the focus for today, that is AWS Foundational Security Best Practices Controls. AWS Security Hub continuously monitors your environment using automated security checks based on the AWS best practices and industry standard that your organization follows. The security control in this standard detect when AWS account or deployed resources do not align with the security best practices that are defined by our AWS security experts. This curated set of control helps improve your security posture in AWS and covers AWS's most popular and foundational services. So, what AWS has done is they have walked through all of their major services to come up with not only the security best practices for each of those services, but the automated security checks that can help you assess in an automated way whether you are aligning to these security best practices or not. Security Hub console gives you a collection of all the security control for this standard, and you can filter results based on the checks that have passed and the checks those have failed. Now let's discuss about some of the AWS resources on which this standard works. AWS foundational security best practices control involve query against the following resources. The first one that I would like to highlight is Elastic Block Store or EBS volume. This control checks whether the Elastic Block Store snapshots are not public. The control fail if the EBS snapshots are restorable by anyone. EBS snapshots are used to back up the data on your EBS volume to an S3 bucket at a specific point in time. The other one is VPC default security group. This control checks the default security group of a VPC does not allow any inbound or outbound traffic. We do not recommend using the default security group because the default security groups cannot be deleted. We should change the default security group to restrict inbound and outbound traffic. This prevents unintended traffic if the default security group is accidentally configured to any of your resources, such as your EC2 instance or your RDS instance. The third one that I would like to highlight is auto scaling. This control checks autoscaling groups that are associated with load balancer if they are using elastic load balancing health checks or not. This ensures that group can determine an instance health based on an additional test provided by load balancer. Now, coming to the last one, the cloud trail. This control checks that there is at least one multi-region cloud trail. AWS Cloud Trail records API calls for all your accounts and deliver log files to you. The recorded information from CloudTrail includes identity of the API caller, time of the API call, source IP address of the API caller, and many other important factors. We have a large list of services that can be easily integrated with our this standard. These are some of the basic ones, but you can go through the other ones also in our AWS talks. Kirti will now explain the availability of the AWS Security Hub service.
Thanks, Aparna. So on the screen, you can see the existing regions with AWS Security Hub. So these are the available regions, and you can see like there are some coming soon regions. But the point here to be noted is like all the security features are not available in all the AWS regions. So we would like you to go through the mentioned AWS doc link in the chat, which explains the specified regional limits. Like please go through section like cross-region aggregation restrictions or controls not supported in all regions, like to understand the availability of required features and AWS regions. So now the next topic which we will cover is managing AWS accounts. Because most of the customer have the setup where they are having multiple accounts and they just want to enable security hub in all the accounts. Like there are two ways to manage multiple account. Like if we have multi account setup, either you can use AWS organization or you can manually add member accounts by sending invitation from administrator accounts. So the administrator member relationship established differently based on whether you use the integration with AWS organization or not. Like to help automate and streamline management of accounts, like we strongly recommend that you use AWS organization, because if you use AWS organization, then security hub automatically detects new account as they're added to your organization, and even like the administrator account will be like designated by the security hub automatically. Like when that security hub administrator account automatically has access to all the accounts in the organization, the security hub account determines which organization accounts to enable as a member account. Like these member accounts cannot disassociate themselves from the administrator account. Like the administration account has the full control over there, and you don't need to manually add any linked account to that particular setup. But if otherwise, like you have a second option, you can send a invitation from the administrator account. That member account has to accept an invitation from the administrator account, and then that administrator account can send the invite members to the member account that are not part of the organization, and account have liberty to disassociate themselves from the administrator account. So now I will hand over to Aparna to discuss the managing account thing, and in the demo we'll cover the rest of the part.
Thank you, Kirti. Now, coming to the cross aggregation part. Cross aggregation finding aggregation helps you to aggregate findings from multiple AWS regions to a single aggregation region. You can then view or manage all of these findings from the aggregation region. To enable cross region finding aggregation, you will need an aggregation region and multiple linked region. It is configured by the administrator account and standalone accounts. The member accounts inherit the configuration from their administrator account. To start the cross-region aggregation, you must configure aggregation in the region that you want to be the aggregation region. Now let's dig in how this cross-region aggregation finding works. During cross-region aggregation, new and updated findings are replicated from the linked region to the aggregation region. Update to the findings that occur in the aggregation region are replicated back to the linked region where the findings originated. One important point to note here is that the Security Hub only replicates findings from the regions where the Security Hub is already enabled. Security Hub is not enabled automatically based on the finding aggregation configuration that you have provided. The other important point here is that you can view the configuration from any region. However, you can only update the configuration from the aggregation region. Regarding the cost factor, finding aggregation does not affect the cost of the security hub. In the aggregation region, the summary page provides the overview of the active findings, and you can filter it by region and severity. We have already told you that you can use Security Hub to give you a prioritized view of your security alerts and also how you can gather these findings from different AWS region. Now, coming to the custom actions that you can enable in your AWS Security Hub to perform remediations of the findings. We are not just a visualization tool. We also help you to complete the security loop. And for that, we help you take response and remediation action on the resources and the findings that your team or you have deemed to be the most important ones. We do this all via CloudWatch event. I will show you this in demo, but the way it works is that we have these ideas of custom actions and you can create these custom actions. You can create custom actions around sending things to Slack, to a ticketing system, to an incident management system, or to a remediation platform. For example, AWS Arrow is our remediation platform and it contains 25 different remediation playbooks that include things like isolating instances, isolating users, archiving findings. You can create custom actions around any of these things. AWS has also built CloudFormation templates for integration with some of the most common platforms, such as we have CloudFormation template for full integration with AWS Arrow, integration with Slack, etc. So now coming to the point that how it works from a process flow perspective, how does this all happens in background? So once you have identified a finding that is of your interest or that you want to take an action on, you can select it and then you have to send it as an action out of the security hub. Once you have taken this action on this finding, it is emitted as a CloudWatch event, and then inside the CloudWatch event console, you have rules. These rules are looking for the custom action ID that have triggered this event. When the CloudWatch finds a match, then the CloudWatch rule is triggered, and those findings are sent to the target as defined in the rule. The target is usually a Lambda function or a step function, and that does some additional processing on the data and ultimately send it to its final destination, which might be something like a slab webhook, or it could be a full-blown remediation package that AWS Arrow provides. This gives our customer a lot of flexibility to define the actions they want and that are appropriate for their workload requirement. We will now go ahead with the demo to show all of the things that we have discussed in the presentation. Kirti will walk you through the demo of the AWS Security Hub service and how it works.
Thanks, Aparna. So now you may see my management's console screen. So for that, like you need to go over all services. You need to search AWS Security Hub on the search bar. Then you will land on this particular page. Like you can see there is a button go to Security Hub. But for you, if it's not enabled, you will see Enable Security Hub option. Then when you click on go to or enable to security hub, then you will get that view. Like on the left pan you can see like there is summary, security standards, insight, findings, integration, settings, and what's new. In summary you will find the gist of all other navigation pan. Like it will tell you the major security standards score. Like for now you can see like it's overall 76%, but going over the standards different. It will also show you the resources with the most security fail checks. It will uh, show you other things also. Now let's go over the security standard one. So like you can, as upon explained, there are three security standards: foundational security best practices version 1.0.0, CIS AWS Foundation Benchmark and PCI DSS 1. Now you can enable or disable these by just one click. Like you have disable button. If you have already enabled, if you want to disable it, you can do. It will take several minutes to work, and then when you want to click on enable, it will enable it. It will also take few minutes to show your score. Like you will get this kind of information when you will try to enable. It will give you you can go to these links like the pricing link, the documentation, the stack set sample templates before you enable that particular standard. And once you click on enable, like it will evaluate your score. Like for now you can see there is 87% score. Like there are 164 passed controls, and there are like total 188 enabled controls. So you can see like for each and every control there is a data. So how this score is been calculated, it's like all passed control divided by all enabled control when you have the data for all the controls. If you have if you don't have data, or if there is some unknown data for any control, then the score will be calculated like passed divided by all enabled minus that no data control. For example, if you don't have data for one control, the score would be 164 divided by 187 minus 1. That would be 164 divided by 187. 87.7% will be your score. So you can also check this color bar, which shows you total field checks. So this is like checks is against each resources, and you can say like it's been updated 7 hours ago. The score has been updated 7 hours ago, and whenever there is any change in any configuration, the score will update. And like in the screen you can say when you will scroll down in that particular standard, there are multiple titles which will explain the controls, and you can see the compliance status each against control, the severity, the ID. Like ID explain it falls under which category. Like this is the EC2.19, so you can read in the documentation what 19 means. And in the, like you can see there are failed checks, one of the two, like out of two resources one is not compliant. And once you will click on this particular title, you can check all the details, like why, how this is being calculated, like why like it explains like the security checks whether it checks whether unrestricted incoming traffic for the security group is accessible to the specified ports. And you can also see the link of remediation instruction, like it will forward you to the documentation link, and you can go and read how you can remediate. And even you can find other details, like there are certain categories of the control, like what Aparna mentioned, like some are identity control, some are protect control. So you can read all that in the documentation, and you can take actions as mentioned in documentation. In the control status, you can see like its status is failed and it's been updated 7 hours ago. You can see the severity is critical. So when you will work on the critical controls first, so your security score will improve. So it's like the security, to improve the security score there are two methods, so we'll go around that in upcoming next like slide. But so let's see, when you click on any control, then you can find like the status of the workflow, like it's resolved or it's new. So for example, whenever one team has access over the one security hub, uh, you can say security management console, like in, if somebody is working on one control, then they can mark that control as resolved. Or if they have complete, they have took the action, then you can mark it as resolved. And if it's like new, nobody has took the action, you can keep this as it is as new. And like when you will go through these each checks, you will find like there is resource ID also mentioned. It also describes when it's updated, and even you can take the actions. Like I have defined the action to send email, so how to define the action in settings, you have that option. So we'll explain you this later. So for now we just have one action. It's where that's why you can see that. So as mentioned earlier, like we have different workflow status like new, notified, suppressed, and resolved. So if team has taken the action on that particular check, you can change the workflow status as resolved. If you don't want that check to be calculated, for example, if working for non-production environments, you can suppress any check. If somebody have like just acknowledged that particular check, you can change the workflow status to notified. Else you can keep it as it is like new. And you can also see there is button of download, like you can download this as an excel. uh, Now you can see on that particular check, like I'm trying to suppress that particular workflow check so that its workflow status can change to suppressed and it no longer be evaluated. So it could take some time. Like now the workflow status of news changed to suppressed. And but you cannot see zero, or you can see zero suppressed because it could take time to like update in the particular console. But you can change the work, you can check the workflow status is being changed. Now the next option is insight on the left side of the navigation plan. So you can see like insight is a saved filter. Like we have two kind of insights, one is a custom insights and one is security hub AWS managed insights. So there are total 35 insights you can see in my console. Those all are security hub managed insights. To create the insights, on the right, top right, you can see the create insight option. But let me like we are going through all the 35 AWS managed insights. You can see like there are zero results for some insights. Yeah, so how to create an insight, like when you will click on create insight on the right section, you can like to create your own insight, you need to choose the group by filter. Like you need to choose how your findings are grouped by using that filter. So you can add other filters, but it's necessary to add that group by filter. So in the drop down option, just click on group by, then you can group by account ID, company name, instance ID, and click on apply. So you can see now the create insight button, which was earlier grayed out, you can see that now it, you can name your insight. I'm giving it demo insight for now. Then you can click on create insight. This has created the insight known as demo insight, which has like 79 count of the resources. So it is evaluating these resources. So next option is findings. So as you know, finding in security issue or any failed security check. So these are the findings. Like you can see the workflow status, record state, region, account ID, company, the product name. Here also, like in the title, it explains regarding the finding description. In the when you click on the resource ID, it will like give you the exact details of the resources. You just need to click in and you can see the ID, the ARN ID, the region. And when you will click on the few details, it will take you to that particular console of the service. For example, if some finding is related to EC2 and you will click on the resources, it will redirect to the EC2 management console and then you can take the actions. Now the integration, like you need to accept the findings from other AWS services which has been already integrated with the security hub or from the third party integration. So you can see on your console like there are particular AWS services like audit manager, chatbot. So you can integrate with them. Even there are third party solutions. So whichever finding we are accepting, you can see the status is accepting findings, and like we are not accepting that particular barracuda finding, so you can see the status is not accepting findings. And how to receive findings from this integration, you need to purchase a subscription to this product and you need to follow the integration configuration instructions. Like there is a link, when you click on this configure, it will redirect you that documentation. Then once you read the documentation, once you purchase the product, you need to accept the findings, and then after few minutes you can enable it. So going over the security, so, yeah, So the next I would like to explain you is the setting option. Yeah, so in the setting option, first is account ID. Like when you want to manage the account, we were explaining you, like you can add the account into two-way, like using AWS organization and as well as like directly giving the invitation or sending the invitation from the administrator account. So here you need to put the 12-digit account ID and the email related to that account ID, and you can also pass the account list. If you have multiple account, you can provide that list using .csv list, and you can like upload that particular file. It will read all the account ID. Next option is region, like as Aparna explained you, aggregating the region. So when you want to aggregate all those finding from the region, you need to configure. So one thing, like we are in the North Virginia region, so that's why like you can see you can check only one option in the region. Like to choose a differently aggregation region, like open the security hub in that particular region. So here, if you have open your console in North Virginia region, the aggregated region will always be the same region. So when you will scroll down, you will get list of the linked regions. Like you can choose any of the linked region you want. Example, I'm adding the US one, like East West, both Ohio, California, Oregon, and then you can click on link future region and you can save that. So now you can see like what this link future region will do. Like whenever any kind of member account will be added to this particular region, the findings will be aggregated automatically. Like you have this option to enable it. So now you can see it's already been done, and now you can again edit it. Like even if you didn't included that thing initially, you can again edit it. Okay. So the next option is custom action. Like upon explain you, we can always customize the action. So to create the custom action, it we need to like go to the settings and the custom action tab, and then you need to, like you can see there is one action already sent email. To create a new one, you need to put the action name, the description, the custom action ID, and you need to copy this custom action ID and keep with you. And then you can add the event bridge rule and put this action ID there, and that will link this particular action to that event bridge rule. So I am creating action to isolate EC2. So like we have some kind of workshops, free workshops, you can go through it. We will provide you the link in some time in the chat, and then you can practice this thing. So see, you can see other isolate EC2 action, and you can use it. So the next options are usage and general. In usage, you will it will tell like if you have opted out for the free trial, so how it's being used, what is the usage type, how many items were there, how is the like estimated monthly item all. And in the general, you can see the settings like delegated administrator. When you will manage the account manually, you will need to set this option. So this is what all the security hub console was about. And just the one thing, like if you want to improve your security posture, just work on the critical once, like critical checks once, and then just work on like if number of failed checks are more, then if you will like remediate that particular checks, then your security score will improve. So that is from the demo. uh, So this is the security hub workshop I was talking about. Like we will paste you the link in the chat. Then you can check out these four modules. Like it will help you to learn about security hub. Then you can learn how to work with security insights, how to remediate, and how to like how to find the enrichment and integration. So these are the four modules. It will take too much. It's level intermediate level of workshop. You will just need the AWS account for this. So, thank you. That was all from our side. these are the important links, like you should go through the security best practices controls, PCI DSS controls, and benchmark controls. And you can also go through the best practices link. So Gaurav, is there any question in the chat from any of them?
Yeah, thanks, Kirti. So far, I do not see any new questions that have come in. However, I would encourage the team to use the chat option and ask us any questions for the panel if they have. Um, all right. So, having said that, today we went over the AWS Security Hub, where Kirti and Aparna specifically went over working with security standards and controls to improve the posture in AWS setups. If there are questions that were not answered today, please feel free to post them at repost.aws, where one of our experts can provide you with an answer. Or your question can even become a topic for one of our future shows. For feedback, please check the chat box for survey link. You can also send us an email at awssupportsyou@amazon.com. We want to hear from you. Tell us what else would you like to see on the show. Please join us again in 2 weeks on Wednesday at 10 a.m. IST for the next show. I would like to thank you all for joining us and happy cloud computing.